Hey friends, so our school year has ended and it kind of fell apart over the last 3 to 4 weeks. I'm not going to talk about it a lot in this video. I will do a kind of whole year review, but my dad went into hospice and passed away a week ago as of this filming. I'm gonna try not to cry, but it was just a really tough end of our third term and end of our first homeschooling year. So I've had a lot of mixed feelings about the fact that our year kind of ended in a very lackluster way. This is not an end of year review, so with all of that in mind, this is how we are going to be spending our summer. We are not year-round homeschoolers, although that is something I will consider as we go forward. But because 2 of my kids, my older high schoolers, are in public school and have always been in public school, I don't want to have the girls sitting down to formal lessons when their older brothers are not. I think that that would just create a lot of animosity towards homeschooling that doesn't need to be there, right? Because we are doing homeschooling in order to give ourselves freedom to school with our lifestyle. And right now, our lifestyle is still very much connected to the public school calendar. Now, just because we're connected to the public school calendar does not mean that we are beholden to it and that we're going to do nothing for the next 8+ weeks. We have a lot that we're going to be doing. I want to talk to you about what we're going to be doing this summer to reinforce all of the lessons that we have learned and to kind of hone those skills, maybe expand and broaden those skills, gain some fluency, and just keep moving forward. Now, for those of you who are new, I'm Brecky and I am a mom of 4. My older 2, like I've said, are in high school, but my younger 2 are being homeschooled and they are now rising first graders. I cannot believe it. They're not kindergartners anymore. They're rising first graders. They're 5.5. They will not turn 6 until kind of mid-fall. Like, they are fall babies. They were about a month past the cutoff date for school to begin here. So they would have been the oldest if we'd done school in the traditional kind of timeline. Now they're sort of the youngest. So we're really kind of playing to their strengths and meeting them where they are and recognizing they may not be perfectly on grade level because they're going to be babies. They're the youngest of their grades. And honestly, if we ever have to repeat a grade, they kind of have a grade of wiggle room realistically. But we are going to be planning for first grade and aiming towards first grade level achievement. So this summer, we're going to be reinforcing kindergarten concepts as we prep for first grade. Now, the first specifically summer only activity that we're going to be doing are these K1 summer activity kind of bridge books from Evan Moore. A lot of people hate workbooks. I know that there's a whole debate. If you're in the Charlotte Mason world and classical world, they think that workbooks are the devil. I think that everything can have a use, right? Straight memorization can have a use. Pneumatic devices, singing to remember things can have a use. Workbooks can have a use. And so I want my kids to have something that feels fun and different for them. And since we don't normally do workbooks, that's what this will feel like. They don't have worksheets like this. We don't really do worksheets like this. Even for math, we don't really do a lot of stuff like this. And so we're going to see how much of this they can do and they feel comfortable with. Some of this, I will tell you, are going to be challenging. So I think about cats can run, cats can hop, cats can jump and stop. Those 2 are going to be a little bit challenging, but I think they're going to be able to do it. Especially my little bunny. She's my more eager reader. She's going to be able to do this a little bit more easily, although my little bear, who is my less eager reader, is doing a lot better. So, and then I will tell you that I already saw one that's going to be a little challenging for them, and it's going to be subtraction, stacked subtraction. So this is going to be a new concept because we have not learned stacked subtraction. Do they even teach that in kindergarten? I'm not really sure. So I think some of this might be a little bit challenging, but that's okay. I don't mind them being challenged and learning, having it be new material, not just review material. They will be spending a huge part of their summer with their cousins and their grandparents about 3 hours from where we live up in the mountains. And their cousins are in late elementary school, so they'll be a 3rd grader and a 5th grader. And so I feel like they could maybe be big cousins that help. Then we're going to have a summer reading challenge to continue to encourage them to read their own books. Now, they've been doing a pretty good job of this. They both have gotten excited as they have had more fluency, more familiarity, that they're reading better. They want to read to us more. They are just limited because they have not gotten far enough in their phonics program. We did not finish the blue book for either of the girls. So they are hemmed in mostly by what they've covered, and they both expressed an interest in doing phonics lessons, continuing with their phonics lessons. And I do really want to make sure that we're encouraging their reading and their fluency and their enjoyment. So I adapted from a template I found on Canva, this little reading chart. I do not have a color printer. This is all a really beautiful pink and gold color, but I don't have a way to print it in pink and gold. So we're doing it in black and white. And I want them to read 25 books. 25 of their own little books to me, or to their dad, or their grandparents, or their cousins. They just have to read it to somebody else. We have to hear them reading it out loud. And this for me is going to be reinforcing what they've already learned and practicing fluency, helping them memorize words they see all the time. My bunny reader, she reads well, but she's still sounding things out. Now she can do it quickly and she's brave enough to keep doing it and plodding along, but she hasn't quite gotten to that place where words she sees all the time she has memorized. My bear reader, she's really good at memorization. So she's getting more excited because she's memorized a few things that make reading easier for her. So we're just going to work on that for both of them, recognizing they have different needs. So as you see here, I don't know if you can see this on the camera, but that says chapter books. They will have 2 sets of this challenge. Each girl gets her own little work, little chart, and I'm going to have stickers, and they're going to fill out their stickers. And when they get to 25, they're going to get to either go get a book or go get a scoop of ice cream, or just do something special and fun as a reward for reading 25 books. Then when we as a family read 25 chapter books, we will go and do something fun to celebrate getting to 25 chapter books for the summer as a family unit. Now for the girls, there are all kinds of readers that we have for them. They've really picked up, I know they cut this, look at that. But they've picked up and enjoyed this Africa reader from The Good and the Beautiful. We have the nature reader. They like that one, but they like this one better. This one is definitely their favorite of the readers, and they just are now opening it and reading me a little story. And these stories are real short, right? Like they're 4 pages maybe, you know, it's just that long, right? That's it. It's like 4 pages, but they are excited to pick this up and show me that they can read it. So we're going to take this reader and the nature reader, and we're probably going to take the first 2 of the All About Reading blue readers, and they can pick and choose as long as it's one they haven't read a gazillion times, because there's a couple they've memorized. But other than that, they can pick these and choose those. We also have a million Bob books, y'all. So I am going to go through and curate books that are within their, look at all of these, books that are within their reading level. We're going to grab those. I even have, did I grab it with me? No. I have like a big Bob book, like a large size Bob book. But I have so many of these. I went out and bought secondhand almost all of the Bob readers when we started homeschooling. And I did get them secondhand, so I don't mind, you know, like how well we use them. If we keep them all perfectly pristine, I bought them for like less than half price. But the hope is that they read one of these and it counts. So they, you know, once they read 25 Bob books, if that's what they decide, or a combination, you know, that works too. So we're really going to lean into some Bob books, and there's a variety, and there's, you know, different levels. So I'm going to curate the levels to make sure it's concepts they've covered. And then we have like these books. I don't have the first one here because we read it so often, but these are 2 of the Pet Friends readers from The Good and the Beautiful. These are so sweet and so nice. It's nice to have color. And they've got, I think, 8 little stories in here. I don't remember how many, but I do think there's like six or eight little stories in these little books. So they're about 4 pages too. And so as long as at least one of them has covered those concepts, I will pack these in what we're taking on vacation. And then of course, you know, when they come home, and again, one little story will count as one of their books. And yeah, my goal is for 25 reads between kind of these readers and these readers and these readers, and just to keep them practicing and working on their fluency and continuing to be excited about reading. You know, I've seen a little bit of a switch where they've now enjoy about 10 minutes of personal reading time, and they get picture books and they look at the pictures, but sometimes they will pick up like a Jack and Annie, a Magic Treehouse book, and they will kind of look at the pictures because there are some, but they will point out words they know. And they get really proud when they can find a word that they know in this chapter book. So I'm excited that they have embraced reading as just kind of a part of their day. Really, really good stuff. And here is that large size Bob books. I'd never seen these, and my mother-in-law found them. Look how cool that is. It's like a large size Bob book. So if you have a kid who can't handle the little ones, they do make big ones. Who knew? And then for read alouds, you know, I don't have anything that I'm assigning for summer reading. I want summer reading to just be fun. We did a kind of super mini unit on cavemen. I had this whole plan about reading all these prehistoric picture books and then reading this book about Homo sapiens and where we came from. And my dad went to hospice and I just didn't care. I just could not function. I was still trying to manage my day job. I was still trying to manage everything. And emotionally, I kind of quit school. And I'll talk about that, like I said, in another video. So with that in mind, you know, I just decided I wanted the girls to read fun chapter books this summer. They didn't have to be academic. They didn't have to be rigorous. They didn't have to be classics. We're gonna let them pick a smorgasbord of books from our shelves. When they go up to Grandmommy and Granddaddy's house up in the mountains, their cousins can read. So their cousins can read out loud to them. As long as there's no violence and there's nothing that's not age appropriate, I do not care. I really don't care. Well, that's not true. That's not true. I care if it's stuff that's like Captain Underpants and Diary of a Wimpy Kid, because I don't have struggling readers, so I don't need them to be thinking that that's appropriate literature, because those are designed for struggling readers that don't really want to read, right? They're kind of silly and goofy and a little bit like crude to entice struggling readers, to get them to laugh at things, right? We don't need that. So aside from that, I really don't care what they read. So we have a collection of the Magic Treehouse. We call them Jack and Annie books. They've read all of them. I think we quite literally have 2.5 left in the entire 55 plus book series that we haven't read. And one of them is about World War II and might be a little too old for them on an emotional maturity level. But aside from that one and the brand new one that's coming out in July, yes, there's a new Magic Treehouse coming out in July. They're still publishing like 1 or 2 books a year. We have read them all, and we're probably just going to start a reread, and we'll take all the physical books that I have purchased at thrift stores over the last year, and those will be some of the read alouds that we do at Grandmommy and Granddaddy's, which will be great. And they'll just get stickers for those. It takes us about 2 to 3 days to read one of these. And they love them. So that's one of the kinds of books we'll be sending. And then I have a collection of 3 or 4 of these classic starts that could be super fun. I'm not worried about these being summer readings. They don't need to be school year readings. They're super retellings. They're very, very, I don't want to say dumbed down, but the language is tweaked to be more palatable to a modern audience, and a lot of the elements of a story are kind of dialed back for a much younger audience. I mean, Anne of Green Gables is something that I didn't read until 6th grade, right? It's not a book for little children. I know a lot of homeschool moms want to tell you can read Anne of Green Gables and The Secret Garden in 1st grade. I don't think that that's true. As someone who has a degree in English and who reads classic literature for funsies, if you've watched my Mother Academia videos, you know that I read quite a lot of literature. I think that we're asking too much of our children if we are asking them to read books that aren't geared towards them. Anne of Green Gables is geared towards maybe a very fluent 9-year-old, but really like an 11-year-old, because that's how old she is. And so you think about Anne being about 12 when she's adopted. You take about 2 years back, and that's the ideal age. So a 10-year-old, right? That's the ideal age for a reader of the book. So I think classic starts are fine, especially if you're not using them for literature study, right? If you're just reading them to expose your kids to the ideas of the book so that when you read the book, it feels familiar, I think is totally fine. So I have Little Women, which we might not do because I know it doesn't cover the death of Beth, but we might not do it for the summertime. We'll see. But I have Little Women, I have Anne of Green Gables, of course, Secret Garden we've already read, and then I also have A Little Princess. So I might just send up a handful of these and see what they want to read, and just let these be possible summer read alouds. The last piece of our kind of academic enrichment puzzle is going to be our handwriting from The Good and the Beautiful. Yes, I have their name letters covered. We like these. In fact, we're quite big fans, but as you can see, we got, I don't know, about a third of the way through, and we were doing great. But we started these after doing 2 notebooks from Handwriting Without Tears, and while we really liked these, honestly, our 3rd term really fell apart as my dad got sick. His first sickness was in February, and he went into hospice at the end of May. So it has just been a lot on me, and this was one of the things that I wasn't keeping up with as much as I would have liked. So I want them to kind of work on these through the summer, and if we don't finish them, we'll just roll these into 1st grade and then do the 1st grade ones once we're done with these. So I would like them to keep practicing though, and they enjoy them, so it's not going to be a hardship. The final piece of our puzzle, recognizing that we have between 8 and 10 weeks, is that we're doing a lot of summer camps. That's something that I haven't actually seen a lot of homeschooling families talk about, which is summer camps as enrichment. We are looking at summer camps as an opportunity for our kids to go be with other kids, right? All that socialization everyone's worried about, to go be with kids, but to expose them to things that they're not necessarily being exposed to by being homeschooled, and they wouldn't necessarily be exposed to even if they were in public school or private school. And we're using them as a kind of enrichment so that they're enjoying stuff, they're getting kind of out of the house. Summer's a break for me as much as it is for the kids. And they're getting exposure, right? Because I see the elementary years as time for exposure, see and experience as much as possible. So our summer camps, we just did VBS with our super groovy church group, and we loved it. It was super fun. Then we are going to have a week off. That is the week they're getting ready to start. We have a week off where we're just hanging out with friends up in the mountains. And then they do 3 weeks of a groovy mountain camp. And we're very excited to be doing that. It is church related, but we're very excited. It's an old camp. My family's gone there for a gazillion years. They loved it. I never did summer camp, but my husband's family did. So my kids are doing the same summer camp that he did. And it's super cute. And it's very social justice oriented and very nature-y, and it's just lovely. So they're gonna be doing that with their cousins, and they're gonna do that for 3 weeks, which is awesome. Then when we come back at the end of July, I actually have to have surgery, but I'll be fine. It's not a big surgery. It's just an annoying one that will have at least a full week of recovery time attached to it. What can you do? But that means that we needed to put them in another camp. So we're doing half-day farm camp, and we're super excited. They're going to get to learn how to care for farm animals. They're going to get to make their own butter and ice cream. They're going to do a bunch of nature crafts. Like, it sounds super fun. So they're going to do half-day farm camp, and then the next week they're going to do half-day sports camp. So that will take us to the beginning of August, and we're going to use our local rec, our little local rec facility. They're doing a bunch of different summer camps, and we're going to be doing like a sports smorgasbord, like a sampling of different sports camp. So they definitely are going to be trying out soccer and basketball, and I think t-ball. I think those are the 3 sports they're going to teach the kids and have them practice and play and learn the ins and outs of, and how, different techniques and how to play the sport. So I'm excited because I'm not sporty. My husband used to be sporty, but he has some injuries that don't allow him to play sports, and he did like tennis and long distance running. So not necessarily like big team sports. So being exposed to soccer to see if they like it, exposed to baseball to see if they like it, exposed to basketball to see if they like it. And if they like anything like that, we can look at signing them up for like winter league, spring leagues. We're going to keep dancing in the fall, and we might try like a fall soccer league or something like that. So this is really great. We're going to end our summer with a beach vacation after sports camp, and then either roll right into our first week and have that week kind of be a gentle review week, or use that as a prep, get ourselves together week and start at the very end of August, like the public school kids. I haven't decided how we're going to do that yet, but that's kind of the plan. But yes, we are going to be using summer camps as an enrichment tool. Anyways, before I ramble on, it is late. As you know, I filmed these after the kids are in bed, and now I'm getting a little tired. Yeah, we are going to be doing a reading challenge, a little bit of workbook stuff to practice our skills, and just some awesome summer camps as a way of enjoying summer, having a real break from school, but continuing to learn. Comment down below and let me know what you are doing for your summer times, your summer vacation. Are you a year-round homeschooler? Is that what you're doing? What do you do during your off time? Do you just totally turn school off, or do you try to do a little bit of enrichment? And if you're doing summer camp, tell me, what kind of summer camps are your kids doing or have done in the past if they're older than mine? There are so many cool summer camps out there, and while we can't afford to do all of them, we're very fortunate that several of these are cost effective for us. They're half-day camps. I didn't get to do any summer camps as a kid, so these just sound so fun, and I want my kids to take advantage of what we have access to. So I'd like to know what you're doing or what you've done, any suggestions you have. All right, y'all, until the next video, bye!